Hi everyone, I'm Ken from Crypto Trading KS. If you're new, welcome, and welcome back to our regular community. Let's run the numbers. Bitcoin is currently trading at 41,786, up 7.88%. Ethereum currently trading at 2469, up 5.61%. If you're new to the channel, I'd just like to let you know that everything I do for you is free. Twice a day, 7 days a week, I share my experience as a full-time technical trader with 20 plus years of experience to assist you to be more of a financial blessing to yourself and those you love. I've hidden knowledge gems throughout this video. Unless you watch to the end, you'll miss them. See how many you can find. Rule 7.15, be aware of self-sabotage. This is a really important rule. You can do very well in your trading and investing, but if you have self-sabotage, you will actually lose money. We covered this off in the community a couple of episodes ago, and some really nice comments. I'd just like to call out a big thank you to Quiz Club, who said, "It's taken me a long time to beat this mentality of self-sabotage out of me." Flamingo Crypto put a very beautiful comment in. To anyone who reads this comment, you are very worthy of success. Absolutely. B-Dog says he wants to improve his life consistently and think with more mindfulness. It's really beautiful. So what is self-sabotage? Pictures tell 1,000 words. I can't do it. I'm not worthy. I must be perfect. I must not make a mistake. I'm not good enough. Nobody loves me. Wow, no wonder this person is weighed down. Why we self-sabotage? Fear of failure, fear of success, feeling undeserving, feelings of guilt or shame for obtaining something good. We have a really special community. We're in search as a community for real wealth, not just financial wealth. That's why we always talk about being a blessing to others as well as ourselves. The fake you can be looked at as a culmination of all past mistakes, past trauma, the fear, and the unrealistic standards given by the media. Anytime you feel deficient, that's all fake. That's not you at all. When we learn, accept, and release this fakeness in our lives, this is all self-sabotage. This is all the things that cause us to self-sabotage. It happens to everyone. When we release self-sabotage, the real you can come out. The real you is rare and unique, always learning, understanding, being compassionate. Those skills, this way of living, attracts real wealth. Real wealth is security, love and friendship, independence, respect, all the beautiful things in life. That's what we're about as a community, to create real wealth. Rule 174, the T-cube method, trend, timing, and trigger. We're looking at the trend in this episode. We use the KS process to determine the true trend. First, we look across relative investor attractiveness. We see gold has taken a hit. The S&P 500 doing well at plus 34%. Bitcoin doing well at plus 271%. Active addresses with Bitcoin, 841,162. Mining reward value for the past 24 hours is 38.3 million. Inside our community, we understand that crypto is the next evolution in the internet. It's the upgrade of the internet to the internet of value. It's growing really fast. In fact, it's growing so quickly that there were 106 million users, crypto users, this is from crypto.com, in January 21. There are now 221 million in June 2021. Wow. This adoption pushes the price of Bitcoin up. We use the KS model to compare same psychologies, sunshine of the bull market to the sunshine of the bull market to the sunshine of the bull market. What I see on a lot of channels are people looking at sunshine to dawn to darkness and saying it's all the same thing. This is normal price action. That's very erroneous. They also say, well, this particular price action was part of Bitcoin's price action. No, it actually wasn't. It was a black swan. On the 12th of March 2020, we had Black Thursday, the COVID shutdown of the world and the US liquidity crisis. Black swans are not part of normal price action. They need to be normalized. Here, I called a black swan event what I called the liquidity blow-off. We had so much stimulus coming into the market that it simply was too much of a good thing for the shorts to just leave on the table. So they squashed it down. We now have a normalized curve. We can keep continuing up. Using realized cap hodl waves, we can see 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. We expect 1, 2, 3. I'll just explain how this works. The 1 is above the price, the 2 is above the price, the 3 is above the price. The 1 is above the price, 2, you can see it's above 1. 3 is above the price. We can say 1 here, we're expecting 2 around here, 3 around here. Don't forget, this is exponentially increasing price. It doesn't say that we'll go that high. It's just really there are 2 more waves for us to be expecting. An incredibly important knowledge gem is to understand Bitcoin and cryptos are driven by euphoria, both positive and negative. Negative euphoria is called capitulation. That's here in red. When you see red, that's capitulation. The blue is euphoria. We have not seen the blue yet in this current cycle. We won't expect to see the red until after the bull market cycle peaks. Looking at the Puel multiple, we're a long way from this red area. We can see in past cycles, comparing the sunshine to the sunshine to the sunshine, we get up into this red area. We're not anywhere close just yet. Rule 193, check the stock markets. It's incredibly important to do this. All investment vehicles are interrelatable and substitutable. The first thing we need to do is to understand where we are in the global expansion cycle. You can see here, economies across the world are in early stage recovery, going towards mid-stage recovery. Let's have a look. Q3 is 2021. This is the latest quarter. Canada is in early stage recovery, just about across that line. China, mid-stage, near expansion. India, early stage recovery. South Korea, early stage recovery. Japan, early. Mexico, early. Brazil, early. These have just come out. We can see the UK has moved into recovery. Germany, going into recovery. Italy, recovery. France, recovery. Australia, recovery. Spain, recovery. This is really important because monetary and fiscal stimulus by the government is very much related to where we are in the business cycle. Let's check those global markets, starting with the US. We can see the fear index was elevated, the VIX, and now it's come down. Let's have a look at the NASDAQ. It's holding support, just barely. The S&P 500, holding support. The Russell 2000 at support. The Dow Jones just midway between resistance and support. Let's have a look at Canada's stock market, performing strongly above support. China's Shanghai Composite Index has broken down. The Hang Seng China Technology Index has broken down. Technology is really important to China. India, we can see at support both upwards and horizontally. The Kospi, South Korea's stock market at support. Let's have a look at the Nikkei. The Nikkei holding lower level support. Mexico above resistance. It's good. Very much above support. Brazil, we've had a technical breakdown here. It's bypassed, cut through that lower support line. It has support below too. United Kingdom testing the upper bound of resistance. Germany's stock market midway, neither here nor there. Italy has broken out, but retesting. The CAC 40, France's stock market, is above. It's got a breakout here. It's doing well. Australia, doing well as well. It's broken out. Spain stock market is getting above that resistance. The Swiss stock market just testing resistance. Singapore above that support. This community is all about establishing early warning systems across all markets. Bitcoin crypto is just one market. We need to be aware of what happens elsewhere. The Delta variant is causing the world some grief. From last week to this week, there was an 11% increase in the number of cases. Last week, there were about 3.7 million new cases. This week, 4.08 million new cases. These particular things, we're looking at the percentage weekly change to go down. Let's check the largest populations because that will have the most impact. Indonesia going down, Brazil going down, Russia going down, Egypt. We want all of these to turn negative, then the world will feel more confident. A key point is to monitor the vaccine doses administered. This is a really important number. We can also see across here that there's been a first wave peak, second wave peak. We're into the third wave. Hopefully it will peak soon. Let's look into the US market. Why do we do that? Because around $56 out of every $100 that goes into the stock market globally goes into the US market. It leads the world. It's really important to check it out. It's really good to understand that the US is nearly at mid-stage recovery with the Q3 results coming out. That's important to understand as we get towards the peak here, this high, and then we move into expansion. We can expect the federal government will raise interest rates and taper. That is, lower the money flows into the market. That will have serious impacts across the board. That's why we need to keep our eyes on it. For this reason, it's really important to look at government data. M2 real money stock is decreasing. That is in line with what we just spoke about. The Fed Chair, Jerome Powell, said that when we reach about 0.25 on the effective federal funds rate, he will see substantial further progress. That will be a warning sign for interest rates to increase and tapering. It's really important we keep our eye on this figure. We'll be looking at it every day. There are a number of measures of GDP or gross domestic product. We can see this particular measure increasing. Real gross domestic product, however, is below the pre-COVID peak. I find this particular measure of GDP to be the most sensible. GDP normalized for the US. I believe when we get up to these green bands, we're going to see interest rates start to increase and tapering on the table. It's important to understand economic health. Personal consumption expenditures, when they increase, that's a good thing. If COVID hits, they may well decrease like what we saw previously. Real personal consumption expenditures are better to look at. We can see we had a bit of a decrease and it's increasing again. We can see total federal debt is increasing. As a percentage of total public debt to GDP, that's decreasing. The unemployment rate is currently at 5.9%. I believe when it gets between 5.13% and 4.38%, we'll have substantial further progress and an increase in interest rates and tapering. There's so many ways to look at employment. Here we have the employment level. I believe when we get up to these green bands, we'll start to see liftoff, which means tapering and raising interest rates. This is the employment population ratio for 25 to 54 year olds. We can see this green band. I think that's the liftoff band. If we look at total non-farm private payroll employment, The liftoff band is around this green area. We are still some way below that. With the employment population ratio, when we get up to this green band, I believe that will create liftoff. The COVID shutdown caused a massive spike in continued claims for insured unemployment. I believe when we get back to reasonable levels, these average levels, we will see takeoff. We can see the CPI is increasing. That's the Consumer Price Index. I've just overlaid the price of Bitcoin here so you can see any particular associations between different economic variables. The 5-year break-even inflation rate, we can see it's increasing. The Fed's price stability goal is 2% inflation. That's way down here. We would need to see the inflation rate go down to here to meet the Fed's price stability goals. Inflation can be measured from many different perspectives, so we just cover them all, making sure that we are right ahead of the pack. The 5-year forward inflation expectation rate has decreased slightly. It needs to go from this 2.24 down to 2. The 10-year break-even inflation rate needs to come back to this 2 level to satisfy the Fed's price stability goal. It's currently at 2.4. As I was mentioning before, there's many ways to actually measure inflation. The trim mean PCE inflation rate, PCE is personal consumption expenditure. That rate is currently 1.94, 1.95. It is actually below the 2% targeted rate. Just keep these things in mind. Looking at T-bond futures, they're above support. You can notice the price of Bitcoin playing into the background. Here, this sort of orangey goldy line, the blue line, T-bond futures. The 20+ year Treasury bond ETF, the TLT, is above support. The 10-year Treasury note yield moves inversely to the TLT. We can see it's below this support. The 30-year Treasury bond yield is currently at support. High yield corporate bond is under support. Let's have a look at the stock market. Apple is currently testing this support. Microsoft has fallen below support. Google has fallen below support but is in a very strong uptrend. Amazon is moving towards support. Facebook has fallen underneath this immediate support. Tesla's doing well. It's actually breaking above that resistance and seeking to turn that into support. Nvidia is above support. PayPal sold off quite strongly. It's failed to be supported and it's fallen below that now resistance. Netflix is seeking to repair technical damage here. Square has sold off, coming back to support. Our community is focused on crypto, but we also understand crypto is just one investment in the universe of different investments, stock market, precious metals, bonds, all sorts of things. So we look across everything to make sure we know what we're doing. Bitcoin has rallied up really strongly. It has to attack this resistance line. There will be a lot of selling pressure here. People will want to take profit. We can see a red candle forming, down 1.46%, 1.45% right now. There are currently 1,474,840 Bitcoin held between ETFs, countries, public companies, and private companies. Total market cap is above this once resistance line, now support. Currently the value is $1.602 trillion. GBTC, Grayscale's Bitcoin Trust, is above support. QBTC, the Bitcoin Fund, is above support as well. BTC, CoinShares physical Bitcoin, is above support, but coming back to test it. The Purpose Bitcoin ETF, BTCC.B, is coming back to test support. ARK-K, the ARK Innovation ETF, is below resistance. ARK-W, the ARK Next Generation Internet ETF, is below resistance. Coinbase Global is testing this resistance. Galaxy Digital is below this resistance. MicroStrategy is above resistance, coming back for a retest. Riot Blockchain, Riot, is below resistance. SI Silvergate Capital Corporation is below resistance. MARA, Marathon Digital Holdings, is below resistance. Voyager Digital, VYGR, is below resistance. Hive Blockchain Technologies, HVBT, is midway in between resistance and support. It's put in a fairly good effort here. BitF, Bitfarms Limited, is above that support. ARB, Argo Blockchain, is above this resistance. It's supported in price. BTBT, Bit Digital, is rallying strongly. ADE, the Bitcoin Group SE, is below support. HUT 8 Mining Corporation, HUT, is on its way to test resistance. XAL, the airline index, gives us an understanding of if COVID, the Delta variant, is causing problems inside the economic system. We can see there was a breakdown here. We just really rejected that resistance, potentially heading towards this support. IYT, the transportation ETF, is just below this resistance. XLU, the utilities fund, is heading back towards support. Gold had a breakout. It's just coming back to test that once resistance and hopefully turn it to support. Silver is coming up to challenge that resistance. Copper futures are at support. Lumber is under resistance. China coal is just basically at that support line, almost under it. Brent oil hit resistance and backed off. It has a lot of support below it. Light crude improved in price. Before we get into the crypto action, it's really important to understand Rule 28, opportunities reset daily. This is a real gem. When you understand this, you can understand that there is always inherent opportunities. They're just everywhere, but we have to look for them, and they do reset literally every day. I'd love to give you another gem. When we look at these alts, there are many ways that we can draw lines of resistance and support. What I've done here is to change this setting to area. Normally we have it on candles. A couple of people said, Ken, how did you draw these lines? Because I don't generally draw lines this way. I'm very specific with how I draw my lines. I take into the account the wicks and all the various price action occurring. In this case, we were on a different mission. The mission was to understand which of the basically 60 plus alts had power in them, how they were performing. So what I've done here, I drew a line to the peaks and I drew an upward channel of support to the first real pullback. So that's what I've done across all of these particular coins so that you could analyze an apple to an apple. If I had have done it the normal way, it would have been misleading. I really love to give you consistent analysis. That way, things are not biased. I hope that helps. With that in mind, we'll actually turn back to candles and check out what's going on here. In the last episode, I said, what if you had $3,000 and you could pick just 3 alts from the list that I gave you here? I found some people picked alts that weren't on the list. It's so hard to get rid of personal favoritism, I guess is what you would call it, or your beloved altcoin. I really do understand. It's just an interesting thing. From this list, there are a lot of different ways to pick, but it always comes down, and this is a knowledge gem, to when you buy. We talk a lot about buying the falling knife in crypto. That's because price is negatively biased and tends to repair very quickly, like what we see here. The key is that you can have the best possible alt and just get in at the wrong time, and that can cause you grief. We don't want to FOMO in. We never do that. We're very, very patient. We let price come to us. We're not like just about any other investor or trader out there. We look at FOMO, we look at fear and say, I'm not interested. Now, I'll explain in the next video series how we look at that. But for this one, just remember, it's where you buy that is most important. There's a lot of alts to cover off here, so I'm just going to say basically, if it's at, because Ethereum is at this particular support line, it's above or below. So at, above or below. Let's have a look at BNB, below, ADA, below, XRP, above, Doge, below, DOT, above, Uni, above, Bitcoin Cash, above, Litecoin, below, Link, above. Link's been doing really well recently. Solana, above, Matic, below, Ethereum Classic, below, XLM, below, Theta, below, VET, below, Luna, above, Filecoin, below, Tron, below, XMR, Monero, pretty much at, Aave, below, EOS, at, Cake, below, but showing a bit of strength here, FTT, above, keep your eye on that one, AXS, above Axie Infinity, but you can see the price is decreasing. A couple of people asked me about Axie Infinity. They said, Ken, I really want to get into Axie Infinity. How do I do it? Buy low. Really layer your buys really below this price. Look at Axie Infinity. It can just go crazy up and down. Don't worry about if something gets filled or not. I have to share with you a different philosophy on buying. I'll start to cover that off in the next episode for you. Algo is below, Graph above, MKR above, Atom below, Neo above. On strength, that's really good. Keep your eye on this one. XTZ, it's actually below, but it's showing a degree of strength here. Keep your eye on that one as well. IOTA below, AVAX at, Comp at, BitTorrent at, HBAR above, DCR just below, T-Fuel below, Engine below, ZIL pretty much at, 1 below, Digibyte below, ZRX above, that's looking good as well. There's also some strength in that. KSM below, Chili's below, Rune above, this is looking good too. Waves below, EGLD above, Dash above, NEM or XEM above, stacks or STX below but showing strength. ZEC at, HNT above, Mana below, YFI below, Hot just at, Sushi below, SNX above, OMG at or a little bit above, near below, but challenging. There's strength there in that particular move. BAT above, looking quite interesting. BNT below, QTUM above, Zen below, ONT above, looking quite interesting. Sia coin above, also looking interesting. CRV at and being sold off. FTM just above. Anchor above and consolidating. That's a consolidation range. Raven coin at and Bitcoin Gold above. Why don't we do a few bonus coins? CTSI, Katisi under. Let's have a look at Quant. The first thing we want to do here is basically draw some lines up. Now, where are we going to draw this line? That is the real question. Okay, why don't we look at this? We go from this bottom to here and draw it up. What does this do? It gives us a kind of an indication as to where price could go. Now, what do we do next? What's the most important thing? Could we draw a line from this bottom to this bottom, for example? We don't try, we just keep keep your eye on the bottom there. Try to keep it steady. You're not trying to touch that. You're just trying to get an early warning signal. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now, are there any other things? Does this give you enough information? Could, for example, going to this bottom here to this bottom here give you anything meaningful? It could. Potentially, that could as well. I think it's also really important that you understand you're an artist. You can draw these lines any which way but loose, literally. A lot of people will tell you, no, you can't draw a line like that. Why not? After 20 plus years in the market, I draw lines that I feel are the most profitable based on hundreds of thousands of trades. Now let's have a look here. What's this do? If we draw a line from there to there and extend it forward, oh, that's kind of interesting, isn't it? Now, what about this peak and this peak? We're just going to town on this chart, aren't we? Now, maybe we draw it to there. So what are we trying to do? What is our goal in here? Our goal is to try and figure out, if we wanted to, how to get into Quant. Now, how would I do it? Maybe I can explain it that way. If I wanted to get into Quant, what I would do is go nowhere near this price. You can see that's a really big uptick. What do we know about sharp angles? They tend to reverse. We also know we're really, really patient people, so we don't FOMO. We have no fear. We let price come to us. If price doesn't come to us, we feel upset. Okay, so where would I buy? I would start around here and I would think to myself, this is a fairly good range to get in. I would look at holding this line of support, even a little bit down, like that. Now, what happened if Quant didn't reach any of those levels? What if it just skyrocketed? Guess what? I wouldn't care. I absolutely would not care. When you get more and more deeply involved with trading cryptos, you'll understand they go all over the place. What looks impossible in the short term becomes probable in the long term. Just look at how Bitcoin came down in price. This is the volatility you want to profit from. This is another gem, to think like this. Now, how do I actually do this? what I would do, I would go into the market at fairly substantial supports and actually place buy orders in there, and they would just wait. They would just chill by the beach, having a beer or having a wine or having a martini or whatever, and just sitting there relaxing, just chilling, and then letting price come to them. That's what they would do. Let's just have a look at SHIB, because some members of the community have SHIB. What we see here is a really solid resistance line. Price is quite a long way away from that at the moment. We see Bitcoin taking off, but SHIB not really working too much in that direction. Just keep this in mind. That gap can be closed quickly, but we have to gain an understanding of the overall trend. What do we see with SHIB? It's come down and down and down and down and down. This is really not a very strong token, unfortunately. Now, if you look at this and say, it's no good, I want to get rid of it, I wouldn't suggest that. Really, one thing, of course, you can do whatever you like. If you want to get rid of it, you should, if that's your feeling. The most important thing to realize, price is always moving in a wave. It's always going up and down, up and down. If you wanted to abandon ship on SHIB, you could potentially understand that it could come up to test this resistance line at some stage. You could put a sell order there, or you know that the overall trend for Bitcoin is quite good, quite strong. We do have economic headwinds, but don't let that concern you too much. The issue is you have to make a call based on your risk tolerance profile, how much you need the money, if you think that you can swap out of something into something else. But just bear in mind, this is a low, this is a low, this slightly under, but we have a consolidation of lows. I would not look at SHIB personally myself, but I know a lot of people do. I think this is just far too weak a particular coin to invest in. But however, if you're in it, there may be some very good reasons that you're in it, and over the long term it may do very well. As Bitcoin does well, it's going to lift all of the alts up. So if you've bought it spot, you may just hold on to it and say, this is okay, I can just write it out. That's the benefit of buying at spot. Many people asked in the comments, Ken, what are the top 3? The critical thing to understand is picking any particular coin can be okay. It really depends how you buy, when you buy, what your target is, so many different things. I will actually get into that a lot more in the next episode. It's really about how you think. You can buy the best coin on the planet at the wrong time and you can get yourself in trouble, or you can buy a really bad one at the right time and do incredibly well. It's not so simple, but always seek to invest and trade in strength. It is always good. Weakness generally creates more and more weakness. Strength, more and more strength. One last gem to leave you with, you need to create a system. Systems take away from fear and anxiety. They're very important. We'll talk more about that in the next episode. I would just like to say thank you to our moderators. Wow, what amazing people you are. Keeping the community free from spam is just so beautiful. Thank you so much. If you're new to the channel, it would be beautiful if you reached out and said hi. We've got a great community of people. Everybody is really supportive of each other and very helpful as well. For everyone in the community, I do these videos for you, so if there's anything you would like me to cover off, please let me know. I'm here for you. Anything I can do to help, I'm very happy to do. I hope you found the content useful. I do these videos to assist you to be more of a financial blessing to yourself and those you love. Please remember, crypto is volatile. Always prepare yourself for the best and worst case scenarios. Reality will likely be between them. Stay safe out there, take care, and see you next time. Bye for now.